face-to-face visits. Sometimes you need to put your hands on somebody. You know, if you've got a hot belly or something, there's no substitute for seeing a patient in person. But we certainly were able to really utilize our platform, which we had built years prior to the pandemic, and really leverage that for the community here in Pearland. And with our growing presence here in the Pearland, you mentioned our corporate office. We've been here for about 7 or 8 years, and we're about ready to expand our clinic actually to even further increase our presence from basically 27 to about 45 providers.
That's awesome. And so I think hopefully those not only in the audience here but also online, you're seeing we're becoming a little bit of a healthcare hub, and here in Pearland we've been growing fast and those types of things, but we've also been growing with quality. And it's a saying that we like to say often: we are the community of choice of the greater Houston area. And part of that, we have to have healthcare partners. We have to have the hospitals and healthcare right here in our community. At the same time, I mean, we have tremendous people that live in our community that commute into the Texas Medical Center every day. Texas Medical Center is in our backyard, and we probably have the largest concentration of employees in the medical center living, in our community. So they have chosen to live here, but it's great to have community partners as yourself to be a part of that. So I want to talk a little bit about community partnerships, okay? But also want to talk a little bit about the pandemic and how all of this, because all of you in your respective organizations have been a part of COVID testing, COVID vaccinations, and the like. I want to do highlight many people that are watching online may have gotten a COVID vaccine through our own City of Pearland point of delivery, our pod that was at the rec center, back in the spring. We delivered 24,000 and change shots to people over many weeks. Kelsey Seabolt was our partner in that. Kelsey Seabolt is our healthcare partner for the city, so we chose them. And I know Kelsey didn't want to take a lot of credit for that, but I would be remiss if tonight we didn't say thank you to Kelsey for stepping up and being a part of that.
Well, thank you as well. It felt good to be a part of that, and I think everybody wanted to do something, and so it just, and we were all, as much as we are competitors, we are partners in this business, and we work together on a daily basis. We have patients in HCA. We have, I think, 44 today and 49 in Memorial Hermann just today, in and around the greater Houston area. But it felt good to be a part of something that big and that special. And just to get in and get something done. So we appreciate the opportunity that we had to work with the City of Pearland, and look forward to the next. God forbid there's another pandemic, but we're here to serve.
Well, the great thing is we know we can do it if we need to, and you're right. I hope we never see that again. Obviously, this virus is going to be here, as long as we live. But how we deal with it and morph and change is just much like many of the other viruses we've learned from, and we'll get there. So David, let's come back a little bit about, as far as HCA is concerned, let's talk a little bit about COVID. What's happening with COVID in your hospitals, over the last, I know we've had a big rise, we're seeing a fall now. Thank goodness the numbers are coming down. But tell us a little bit about the hospital and how you've been dealing with COVID.
All right, thank you. I think the best way to characterize this COVID is that
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's regular Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Today is Tuesday, January 3rd. It's 2023, and the time is 6:32. Roll call for all of us, the commissioners. Everyone is here except for Chairperson Brandon Dansby, and we wish him well and hope he's well. The introduction of the agenda and format of the hearing, that goes to Mr. Martin Griggs. Take it away, please.
Thank you, sir. So for each item tonight, we'll have a call to order followed by a staff report. Then the applicant will have their opportunity to make a presentation. Afterwards, we'll have public comment in support or opposition to the project. At that time, please state your name and address for the record. Be brief and to the point within a 3-minute time frame. Following that, commission and staff will have their discussion. The commission will vote to recommend approval as presented, approval with conditions, denial of the request, or to table the item. City council will then pick these items back up for their consideration of the zone change and CUP case to be heard on January 23rd, 2023. Going to items removed from the agenda. That have no action tonight, which will be rescheduled with new notification for a future meeting. We have conditional use permit 22, number 25, for the assisted living facility at 3205 Dixie Farm Road. And then on consent agenda, we have 2 items, excusal of absence and approval of meeting minutes, both from the December 12th meeting. And then on new business, we have a zone case for property along Kirby and Fruget Road, and then a conditional use permit for a automobile driving school at 3129 Kingsley Drive. With that, Chair, I pass it back to you for the consent agenda.
Thank you, sir. That brings us to item number 4, which is Roman numeral 4, which is items removed from the consent agenda and no action is required. We just completely skip it now that we've mentioned it, or do I need to introduce it as an item? Okay. All right. We'll move then to Roman numeral 5, which is the consent agenda, as Mr. Griggs just pointed out. 2 items. One is the excusing the absence of Commissioner Andrew Earls, and then the second one is the approval of the minutes of the meeting that we had 12/12 of 22. Do I hear does anyone wish to remove anything from the consent agenda? Seeing none, we will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, items A and B.
Commissioner Henricks, I approve.
Second. All right, motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Measure passes 6-0, and now we can move on to items removed from the consent agenda, which there were none. Sorry for all this procedural stuff. Now we get to new business, and the first item under new business is consideration and possible action zone change application zone 22-30. And this is a public hearing, a request by Nolan, I hope I get this right, Tirsch, applicant on behalf of Welcome Real Estate LLC owner for approval of a zone change from Spectrum 3 S3 district to Plan Development, which is PD district, incorporating approximately 16.92 acres into the existing LNR Clear Lake planned development, and that is generally located the northwest quadrant of Kirby Drive and Fruget Road. Staff report. Oh, no, let's get a motion for approval in a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Staff report, please.
Thank you, Chair. Let me introduce Samin Bazargan to present the staff report. Take it away.
Thank you, Martin. Good evening, Planning and Zoning Commissioner. So the first case is a zone change case from Spectrum 3 S3 to Planned Development District. incorporating approximately 16.992 acres of land into existing LNR Clear Lake plant development. So the property is located at northwest quadrant of Kirby Drive and Frugier Road and designated as Lower Kirby Urban Center in future land use map. So this is the aerial and zoning map that shows the property is surrounded by mostly S4 and S3 zone district. However, across Kirby Road, if you look at the map, you can see that it's next to LNR PD district. This is the future land use map that shows the property is designated as Lower Kirby Urban Center. This is the aerial view of the property that shows the property is next to residential on the north, and the west it's next to undeveloped lot, and also on the south it's next to undeveloped lot and residential, and the west is next to Medicon and research building. And this is these are the street view pictures from the west, east, and south of the property. So the property was annexed to the city in 2002 and have been in residential use since 1964. LNRPD was approved in 2004 under Ordinance 509. This request will be the third amendment to add property into the existing PD. First one was for Lonza Phase 2 in 2019, and the second one was in 2022 for Hooper Industrial Plan for property at the east corner of Hooper and Beltway. The proposed zone change is consistent with the comprehensive plan and future land use plan. Kirby Drive is a major thoroughfare and has sufficient width. The Hooper Road and Frugier Road are major collectors and are planned to be widened. The property is mostly undeveloped. However, the new development will comply to the LNR PD, as you know, including the setbacks and landscaping. And the subject property has access to water and sewer along Kirby Drive. This is the criteria for approval. And as you see, the property, the zone change complies with comprehensive plan criteria and also compatibility with the neighbors and area. Recommendation for the zone change, the proposed amendment is consistent with the approval criteria, including comprehensive plan and the goals for Lower Kirby Urban Center. The proposed PD amendment will provide for a superior development by requiring Hooper Road to follow the existing design guideline for Kirby Road and Beltway. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the requested change in zoning from S3 to PD. And that completes the staff report.
Thank you for that. Great report. All right, is the applicant here, and does the applicant wish to make a presentation? Applicant present? All right. Seeing no one moving or raising their hand or anything, we'll move on to persons wishing to speak for or against this item. Is there anyone here wishing to speak for or against? Also seeing no motion or no verbal response, and there has been no submissions at all. Okay. That brings us to the point number 6 in the script here, the staff commission applicant discussion. Commissioners, any questions, comments, concerns?
I do. What are they wanting to put there? Like, what's this change going to allow?
So the current zoning district points back to the spectrum land use category. The spectrum land use category, number 3, is kind of a mixture of lighter industrial and commercial uses. We've seen good success with the LNR plan development and tool flow. A lot of the Merritt and Dover, Lonza, all of those were established in the LNR plan development, and that's kind of become our standard for areas that are along Kirby to be annexed into and share similar development patterns.
So is this going to be industrial buildings or residential?
If I recall correctly, it is more of a industrial office type of end user. I wish that the Welcome Group were here to expand on that. I do know that we have had a pre-development with them, and they are aware of the uses and what is allowed within the LNR district that they're requesting.
Just as a procedural point of clarification, I guess, the LNR or the PD that they're wishing to go into, is that the right way to say it? I mean, do they have their own PD? Does each parcel have their own PD, or was it a PD covering a swath and they border it and they're asking to join in?
So this map shows the outline of a portion of the LNR PD. It goes north up to the intersection of South or North Spectrum Drive, and then it continues north to the Beltway. The Indris Hauser building that just got built was within the LNR PD. So you can see that this PD is rather large with the amount of land that it incorporated. As Samin discussed, the first annexation or the addendum to the PD included this phase 2 Lonza property. And then earlier last year, or the latter part of last year, it's weird to say, but we saw the warehouse development that got brought into that kind of square property that then jogged over to Kirby Drive. So, seeing addendums, annexations of property that were previously in the Spectrum District and are now going to be incorporated into the LNR have kind of become a common practice for this area.
I guess I'm the only thing I'm not clear on, and that's wonderful. I applaud this effort of raising the bar on their own land. Who does the PUD belong, or the PD? Actually, it shows here as a PUD, PUD or PD. Who does it belong to, or are they simply copying it and it's a new PD following the?
I think I see where your question's going. They're copying into the existing regulations. So LNR has 3 sub-districts in it. Sub-district A is closer to the Beltway. Sub-district B is to the east of Kirby, and sub-district C is to the west of Kirby. So they'll be in fitting with the properties that are within that district.
Great, thank you. Thanks for the clarification. Anything else? I wish the applicant were here. It would have been nice, and I'm sure they were encouraged. So if no further comments, all those in favor, we have a motion and a second. So all those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Measure passes 6-0. And that brings us then to item 2 under Roman numeral 7 of new business, and that is a discussion only. It is a commission input and discussion for conditional use permit application 22-26. And that's a request by Mary A. Monroy, applicant, on behalf of BROP LLC owner for approval of a conditional use permit, or CUP, for automobile driving school on approximately 9.2001 acres of land within the Kingsley Broadway Planned Development, PD District. The general location being 3129 Kingsley Drive, in particular Suite 1130 in Pearland, Texas. How about a motion for approval and a second?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. With that, staff report, please.
Thank you, Chair. So as mentioned, this is a conditional use permit for an automotive driving school located at 3129 Kingsley Drive at Suite 1130. The future land use has this as partially in low-density residential and within a minor node. So this is the aerial and zoning map. You can see that there are a variety of planned developments throughout this area. You have the Southern Trail to the east and west, and then you have Shadow Creek to the north once you get outside of the boundaries of the Kingsley Broadway PD. So here you can see the areas that are partially within the node and partially within the low-density residential. And you can actually see the outline pretty well of the buildings as they are working on developing each phase of this commercial development. So leading into that, the property was annexed in 2012 and concurrently applied for a zone change to be within their own planned development. That planned development originally had a center anchor store and that was going to be an L-shaped building. They came back, or a new landowner came back and applied for an amendment in 2019 with a new site development plan, including 20 professional office condominiums that are all single-story buildings. Construction of those condos has been ongoing and ongoing since 2020, and the last section of those buildings are currently under construction. So again, giving you kind of a outline of the different uses within the area. You've got McNair Junior High across, or diagonal and across Kingsley and Broadway. You've got Walmart across the avenues at Shadow Creek Ranch, some additional residential within Shadow Creek. Then to the east, you have Southern Trail subdivision, the subject property, and Southern Trails across Kingsley. And then there are a variety of commercial uses just to the north with a gas station and a shell building with some variety of tenants. So this is a site picture showing the particular suite that's looking to be utilized for the auto driving school. The buildings within this development all kind of share a similar style and construction pattern. The comprehensive plan has this area as a minor node, which this use is fitting for that type of area. Kingsley is designated as a major thoroughfare with sufficient width, and as this is a shell building and the tenant will just occupy a suite, there's not a whole lot of UDC requirements that will kick in for them to be able to occupy the area. And then the property is served by both utilities along Broadway and Kingsley. With that said, these are the criteria for conformity with the conditional use permit. You can see everything is in conformance. And with that, staff is in support of the proposed conditional use permit with no additional conditions to be recommended. Of course, if y'all see fit for additional conditions to be applied, that is totally up to y'all. With that, I'll hand it back to you, Chair.
Thank you, sir. If I may, I just wanted to clarify, although there was a motion to approve and a second for approval, as this is a CUP in front of the P&Z, it's not something that you actually vote on, it's just something that you discuss. The vote comes to city council, and they will be sure to look at your recommendations in your discussion. I said it at the beginning, and then when I read, I forgot, even though I have it written right here, discuss only for my, that's why I'm not chair. So the next part is the applicant presentation. Is the applicant here? Please feel free to step to the podium, and whoever speaks, how many of you, just please state your name and address for the record. Oh, I'm sorry. We have to record the proceedings, so if you could go back to the microphone over there, where the podium with the microphone on it. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mary A. Monroy, and I am the owner of Monroy Driving School. It's a small family-based business in Houston area for 12 years. And we're expanding to Pearland, God willing. And I'm going to have Kathy, my daughter, to talk a little bit more about the business. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Kathy. I'm usually the one working with the day-to-day procedures, I guess, of the office in Houston. And lots of our customers drive from Pearland, from different cities, and we kind of just wanted to meet to these expectations so that people don't have to do those drives as far as different cities in the state of Texas. So this is kind of like our venture out because we actually live closer to Pearland than we do to Houston at this point. So in terms of what we're going to be offering, it's pretty much like to train students starting at the age of 15. They have to begin with the process like with DPS and all, which we don't take care of. We do like the behind the wheel, the hands-on classroom education. So that's kind of what this office that we're going to be at is going to be for, so that we can start doing the education part of it and then also start training them out on the road. We've been successful in the Houston location for the past 12 years, so we want to make sure that everybody who's on the road, they are comfortable enough to be able to start learning how to drive regardless if they are driving right now. We're very transparent in terms of what we offer, and when it comes to people being safe drivers, we actually had my brother, her son, pass away in 2012, a little before we started doing the business, and so it kind of, you know, it's one of those things that it's not just a business, it's more so like it hits home. So we want to make sure that everybody else is good with that, and we're hoping that this will move forward so that we can get the, you know, ball rolling here in Pearland and be successful with more stories that people appreciate, you know, and vice versa. We want to make sure that they're good to go too.
Thank you for that. We're not allowed to dialogue at this point, but in a little bit, we'll get to that point. If we have questions, we'll ask you to come back up.
Sure, no worries.
Thank you. Kathy, I thought I saw a green sheet in your hand. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, because your name was not on the application. If you could be sure to make sure that gets filled out and given to Shelby, yeah. Thank you. That brings us to the next item, which is persons wishing to speak for or against. Is there anyone here wishing to speak for or against this item? Anyone wishing to speak for or against? All right. Seeing no movement or hearing none, that takes us to the next portion, which is the staff commission applicant discussions. Anybody have anything to say?
Good evening. So this is simply a driver's ed school where you see student driver teaching kids to drive. Okay, that's all.
And for the record, we have an affirmation, a nod of yes.
I think it provides a really good service to the community. And I know that the other driving school in Pearland is often busy when parents are trying to schedule the driving time. It's quite a headache. I went through that. But yeah, I appreciate everything that you guys do because I wouldn't want to get behind the wheel with someone who's 15 learning to drive. But I think it's a great idea.
Just from a technical standpoint, this is a CUP because it's in a general business area, and all the neighbors were notified, and no one showed up to complain. And I certainly think this fits in an office condo. It's a great idea, and I wish your business well. And thank you for coming to Pearland. And last thing, I'm sorry for your loss. Anybody else? All right. Hearing none, we do not vote, but the way we would vote should be recorded. I think we're going to kind of go one by one. I think everybody here is in favor. Yeah. Okay. So you can let the city council know everyone was for it. And I believe you're going to be in front of city council on the 23rd, and I wish you the best. And again, welcome to Pearland. All right, that takes us to the next item, which is Roman numeral 8 and discussion items, and we are almost done. One is Commissioner's activity report. Does anyone have anything to?
I got a couple things. I have no life. So what I did the last couple of days is I read the development handbook on zoning, and I found some things that were interesting in it that I thought I'd bring up. I'd already called and I'd already warned Shelby about it, and she warned Martin. But one of them on page 5-6 of the handbook of the section on zoning, it says Planning and Zoning Commission, City Council joint public hearing, and it says the City of Pearland typically holds these meetings on the third Monday of each month. So apparently this was before we started having first and third meetings. And it's just some cleaning up stuff that I thought was kind of interesting. It's also in the org chart that it's on the third a conditional use permit. And a condition of approval on a zone change. I'm not really sure we've ever done this, but in this it says a zone change cannot be approved with conditions. So, and I know that we've done conditions before, but I'm not sure if it's ever been on a zone change. It's strictly on, okay, I wanted to bring that up. And then the one thing that I've always kind of, it's ever since I've been on planning and zoning, has always been kind of a thorn in my side is these signs, and that the developers and stuff have to put out. I always thought that those signs belonged to the city, and that's the reason why we didn't have more put on them. We only put a zoning, just a little short note and stuff up there. It appears to me that we could cut down on a lot of things if there was more information on those signs. If it's just going from zone change from this to this, or conditional use permit, driving school going in, since it's at the person that's requesting it at their expense, it might be a little bit more expensive, but I know that it would cut down on a lot of the things that we get, a lot of the phone calls that y'all get. Again, it's more information to the people that are out there. I would like to see us do something on that and see if we can get more verbiage put on those signs, because a lot of times I'll get phone calls from somebody that's something around our neighborhood or something, and I'll have to go back and look it up in order to find out what's going on too. And, it'd make it just a whole lot easier if we just had the information and stuff.
So suggestion for that, I know that there is very limited information that
Excuse me, Commissioner Boswell,
please forgive the interruption. As Commissioner Eisenberg was doing this as a discussion item, I was going to let him finish, but I wasn't going to allow anybody to have dialogue on it because I don't want to create an Open Meetings Act violation.
Okay.
Because we did not tell the public that we were going to be discussing notice provisions for signs on zone change amendments. So that's what, in order to have any type of dialogue, that's the type of thing that we would have to have. But hearing what he said, I think that we can put a future item on an agenda that talks about notice provisions for zone changes, and then people can bring in examples of signs, ideas for signs, whatever notice they think is appropriate, and then we don't have to worry about somebody making a complaint to the district attorney's office or the AG saying, we didn't post this appropriate notice for the discussion. So thank you for bringing it to our attention, and thank you for allowing me to do my job before I let you say anything.
My whole thing in doing this is just something I brought up that I saw that I know that it's probably just, some of it's some minor housekeeping, just cleaning it up. But if somebody didn't have a life and decided to read it, they might be sitting there thinking that, like these people here, well, I don't have to go till the third Monday, and then they'd, so.
No, thank you for bringing that up.
All righty.
Anyone else for Commissioner's activity report?
So, yeah, I do have a comment. I can't comment to that, but my comment is for discussion items. It's not a discussion if we're really not being able to discuss. So it's almost like we need to notify maybe a day or two in advance so it can be placed on there, because you're not having a discussion if you're not having a discussion. So I don't see the point of that being here if, because the citizens haven't been notified. Completely understand that, and it's not listed out. What is the workaround around that? Because we're always asked that, and most of the times we don't have commentary, but for the times we do, is it just you just bring that up and then that's an item that we will address the next time?
It could be done that way, or I believe the rules of procedure allow for 2 members of the P&Z to submit a request to, I don't remember if it placed a title. I think it placed a title, but I think that Martin is the acting appointed person. So if 2 people say, hey, we would like to discuss this item, then we can put it as a discussion item, and then it would be on here. There would be 3 things instead of activity report and future meeting date. It could have been there. So I think that Martin has used it as a discussion item, not by anything requested by by P&Z members in the past, but hey, forecasting, here are some future changes coming, and that type of setting. So we're not looking for the input. Well, he is looking for the input, but he's also broadcasting and letting you know to start thinking about something.
Oh, I'm good. Thank you.
For reference, I don't know what year we started it, but I do remember there were things that were brought up in the meetings, even agenda items that we just, a lot of the members, and I'm going to say it was 2008, 9, or 10, somewhere around there, we asked for that Commissioner's activity report so that we could have a little bit of a dialogue with an issue or maybe something that happened in the community. Council was doing it. They have a section at the beginning of their meeting where they ask if anybody's got anything they want to talk about. And that's kind of what it was for. If you're if you're a member of KPB, for example, and you want to say, hey, by the way, they're having a toy drive, or, that was a bad example. They don't do toy drives. But that was one opportunity for us to do it. We did get into some discussions before, and we were warned by your predecessor the same thing. We really can't discuss it. Let's put it on the next agenda, and we would discuss it if we did carry it forward. Sorry for that historical perspective. I don't have a life either. If there's nothing further, the next P&Z meeting is January 17th. Again, this is on a Tuesday like this one instead of a Monday. Is there anybody that knows they cannot attend? 17th. So instead of being on the 16th, they have it on, 16th is a holiday, I believe, a national holiday, so. If nothing further, all right, let's adjourn this meeting at 7:07 PM.